Hello YouTubers, Alaska Prepper here. Ladies and gentlemen, did you really think that inflation was going to stop? Did you think that prices of things were going to be coming back down anytime soon? I've been steadfast in saying that inflation has only one way to go, and it has to go up. And there's one simple reason. We live in a debt-based society, meaning that the money that you own is actually debt that you own, meaning that inflation is never going to end, and that the price of things will only continually go up as the years go by, and that after every so many years and the people start getting sick of it, there's a floor that's to be found, meaning that once things get really high, they settle back down a little bit, but they never settle back down to where they were before they started getting really high and the people started getting sick of it. That is the frog in boiling water. By the time you know it, by the time that you're in your elderly age, you're going to be paying $17 for a cup of coffee and you'll think nothing about it, right? Not that big of a deal because it only went up $1 last year. Well, I'm here to tell you, ladies and gentlemen, that you need to prepare for the next year. Why? Because there's a lot of things that are going to be going up in price, and many of these things are going to be going up in price to historic levels, meaning that they've seen prices that they've never seen before. For whatever the reason may be, I blame it mainly on man-made factors, number one, and also on money printing, number two. But there are also natural factors involved. What's the lesson to be learned here, ladies and gentlemen? Is prepare. Get those things that you need now. Put them away, because you're always going to be able to outperform. In my opinion, you'll always be able to outperform the stock market if you put some of your money away in food. I've always said that the best stock that I've ever invested in is a well-stocked pantry. Well, I have about 7 things here that I'm going to show you that are going to be going up in price extremely high this year, and a lot of them, like I said, are at historic level prices. And stick around till the end of this video because I have a short clip to play for all of you, those of you especially that lived in the East Coast and are having to deal with breathing in dirty air because of all the smoke that's coming down towards the East Coast of the United States. However, let's start off with this one here. Robusta coffee prices soar to new records as El Nino sparks supply fears. I covered this shortly here a few videos back, but this is just one of the many things, ladies and gentlemen, that are being predicted to go up in price a lot. And I'm talking about the double-digit price increases this year, 2023. Vietnam and Indonesia. And by the way, for those of you that don't know what Robusta coffee is, some people just don't know, right? Robusta coffee is like your less expensive coffee. So your cheap cup of Java is not going to be cheap anymore. It may taste cheap, but it's not going to be cheap for you to buy, unfortunately, all right? Vietnam and Indonesia, some of the top producing coffee countries, are experiencing extreme weather that could worsen a shortage of Robusta beans. This has pushed Robusta coffee prices to a record high, making it more expensive for buyers to obtain cheap beans. A confirmed El Nino ahead of a northern hemisphere summer could worsen the shortage and perhaps explain why prices are skyrocketing. And ladies and gentlemen, we actually talked about this, I'm thinking 6 months to a year ago. I was talking about this, telling everyone that's a coffee lover, like myself. I love my morning coffee. I haven't had it for 10 days now, and you'll probably hear me say that on every video that I do. I gave up coffee for at least a month to see how it treats my body, and I haven't had it for 10 days yet, and I really want a cup, but I'm going to stand fast and make sure that I stand strong till the end of this month. But anyway, just weeks ago, Robusta prices hit a 12-year high. All right, that was weeks ago. All right, and fast forward to this Friday, yesterday, Robusta bean prices per ton have jumped to $2,790, the highest since the contract started trading 15 years back. So Robusta bean prices are the highest that they've been since they started trading on the market. Ladies and gentlemen, you should have your coffee already, but if you're a coffeeholic like I am, make sure you go out there and get your coffee now, because they're only going to go up in price, all right? If inflation doesn't hit it, natural forces will. Another thing that I've been talking about for a while, and I hope that you're getting your olive oil, ladies and gentlemen, especially if you put away olive oil. Someone asked me a great question on one of the comments a few videos back, where I think I might have mentioned olive oil. This is kind of like a compilation of all of those things that have hit record high prices, which have not necessarily yet shown their faces in the supermarkets, Their prices have not shown themselves in the supermarket yet because we're still living off of those let's say, for example, olive oil from the prices that we paid for it last year, right? But they will soon. So this is actionable intel. Go out there and get your stuff. But anyways, one of our community members asked, how long can you expect olive oil, or extra virgin olive oil in this case is what she asked, to stay good? And all I can do is provide you with the information that I have personally, ladies and gentlemen, not that I read from somewhere. I've kept olive oil, extra virgin olive oil, just regular canola oil when I used to use that poison. I've kept that in my pantry for years. I've used olive oil that was 2-3 years past the date, the best buy date. And one of the things that I attribute to the olive oil staying good for so long is that I keep all of my oils on the floor of my pantry. And the floor of my pantry, even in the summer months here in Alaska, stays relatively cool. A lot cooler in the winter, but in the summer it still stays relatively cool. If you hear a noise in the background, excuse me, that's just my air conditioner turning on here in the bunker. Why, ladies and gentlemen? Because it's 65 degrees outside. I'm just kidding. It's a dehumidifier that I use to circulate the air as well. Give me a second. Let me turn it off and I'll be right back. Alright, that's that. But anyways, I keep it on the floor of my pantry, and that stays pretty cool all year round, even in the summer, because my floor, I've got insulated with, like, I think it's R28 or R30 insulation that I got my floors insulated with. So even in the summer, if it does get a little bit warm, that heat's not going to get in. And in the winter, when it gets really cold, we can still keep a temperature that is well above freezing in the pantry, which is really good. But here it says that crude oil has fallen 10% this year, but another less crude kind of oil is rocketing higher, and that's really nothing to laugh at, because there are some people that are really hurting, that really need oils in their diet, who cannot afford this good oil now, and they have to go to cheaper oils. Prices of extra virgin olive oil are at an all-time high. Another thing that's at an all-time high. According to statistics tracked by the International Monetary Fund going all the way back to 1990, olive oil was trading for $6,269.63 per metric ton as of April, up 46% from last year. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you've got your olive oil, because it's going to go higher than what it's gone up already. For those who buy their cooking and dipping oils in quantities less than a ton, that comes out to about $6 a liter. Of course, shipping, marketing, and sales costs will make that bottle a lot more expensive. But anyways, what else is there that we all use, whether we like to use it or not, because it's in almost everything that we consume? Well, ladies and gentlemen, it's sugar, okay? And although this article here says that sugar is not really going up, it has gone up in the last year or so. I just want to show you. Here, I mean, this article is trying to tell you, yeah, sugar prices are stabilizing. They're getting better. They've gone down a little. If you take a look at this right here. All right, let's see, what date was that? Let me bring this down. So if you take a look at this right here, April 23, it was 26.62, and now it's 25.38. But what I see is I see the trend. Take a look at this trend. It's not even that long of a trend. This is just a year long. We started back in August 29th of 2022, less than a year ago, at 17.78, and now we are at 25.38. From the beginning of the year, if you take a look at the beginning of the year, we were at $21, we're at $25. That's about a 25% increase just from the beginning of this year. So just like Johnny Bravo says, and by the way, Johnny Bravo hit 200,000 subscribers yesterday. So thank you for those of you that went over there and hooked them up. But anyways, like Johnny Bravo says, the trend is your friend. And where do you think the trend is going with this? It's going up. And even though we may have good weather for sugar, which is what this article is referring to, inflation is going to take its toll on the price of everything. All right. So sugar is only going to continue to go up. And another thing, ladies and gentlemen, that's going to continue to go up in price is orange juice. Right? Orange juice. We had a terrible harvest in the East Coast of orange juice this last year. Why? Because of the weather, of weather events. You know, things like that happening. I think we had a freeze, when we had some droughts, we had a hurricane. All of these things going on at the same time in different parts of the world has affected the price of orange juice. And you can just take a look. Let's take a look at January of 23, $2.04. And now we are sitting at $2.65. That's almost a 30% increase in price from when we started out in the year. So orange juice as well is going to continue to go up in price. If you are an orange juice lover, of which I am not, all right, I can live without orange juice, but some people love their orange juice. If you are, what I would say is go ahead and put away some of those frozen orange juice, the little containers that come frozen concentrate that you can make like a gallon with, one little container. Put some of those away in the freezer. There's no other way that I know of that you can preserve orange juice for long term. I've tried freeze drying some, but it just didn't come out all that great. So orange juice, ladies and gentlemen. Another thing that's really going to hurt is wheat. Wheat prices, ladies and gentlemen. Our wheat stocks are at the lowest that they've been. I think they're the third or fourth lowest that they've been in history since they started counting how much wheat reserves we had, or how much carryover stock we had. World wheat squeeze set to worsen in 2023. This will affect the price of everything, ladies and gentlemen. Price risks remain broad. And why is that? Well, let's see. The U.S. Department of Agriculture on Thursday pegged world wheat ending stocks for the 2022 and 23 marketing year at 267 million tons, a 6-year low, well below the analyst estimate of 272 million. And the thing is, ladies and gentlemen, this 267 million tons of carryover, this is only about 14 or 15% of what we use in a year. Have you ever heard of an occurrence that happened back, I forget what year it was, but it was after a volcano erupted centuries ago. I think it was Mount Tambora, but correct me if I'm wrong in the comments. But we had what was called, the world had what was called a year without a summer. We had a volcano that erupted. It engulfed the atmosphere of the earth with a whole bunch of sulfuric acid, bouncing all of the sunlight back out into space, not allowing us to import from outer space enough energy from the sun to grow food. We had a year without a summer. Now imagine if that happened again and we have a world stock ending at about 15% of what we need for the year. Do you think that maybe some people will starve? And do you think maybe that you ought to be getting prepared just in case that happens again in your lifetime? You never know if it's going to happen. When it happened back a couple centuries back, they didn't know it was going to happen either, but it did. When excluding China, the world wheat stocks to use for 2022 and 23 falls to about 15% from 16% this year, and it would be the fourth lowest ever. So the ending stock for wheat has been declining for a few years, and I believe that the weather, let me know what you think about the weather. Do you think the weather is getting more erratic? I believe it is. Just take a look around the world, all of these weather events that we're having. No, it's not because of you. It's not because you put a little bit of carbon in the air. No, ladies and gentlemen, it's just a cycle that we're going through, and it's going to continue to happen. We're going to continue to have more earthquakes. We'll continue to have more eruptions of volcanoes, and we're going to continue to have more erratic weather patterns where places that don't normally get a lot of rain are going to get a lot of rain, where places that normally aren't very hot are going to get very hot, where places that normally aren't very cold are going to get very cold, enough so that it will affect their growing seasons. So stock up now and get prepared now. Get ready for higher beef prices, and this is why. So ladies and gentlemen, if you are a meat lover like myself, get ready for higher meat prices, and this is why. Very simple chart. This chart shows you here that the number of cattle in the United States that are used for meat, right, has been in a steady decline since 1998, which means that the war against meat has actually been executed pretty well by these crazies. All right, but the crazies that think that if you till 1 million acres of land, that you're not hurting the environment, that you're hurting the environment more by allowing an animal to graze on land instead of tilling 1 million acres of land and destroying all of that nature that's in that land, all the insects, all the animals, all the bugs, all the birds that feed off the insects in that land. But anyways, I digress. I'm going on a rant. Well, as you can see that the number of cattle, they're going down, and this is not something that we can just bounce back from very quickly. It takes years to go ahead and regrow a herd. Now, why are the number of cattle growing down? Very easy. We've talked about this in the past as well. It's called the input price of what it costs to feed these cows, to raise these cows, to bring them to market. So the input price of feed of wheat, of oats, and all those things that they feed these cows, along with straw, hay. All of these things is costing so much that farmers or ranchers just can't afford to feed the cows, so they send them to slaughter. They get called, they get put on a dinner place, and nothing really replaces them. And when they decide to replace them, it takes years for that to happen. So expect, the price of meat to continue to go up. And not just the price of beef. The price is going up for beef at a record pace. However, when people can't afford beef, what do? They turn to a different kind of protein. So the price of beef will go up, and then in turn, the price of other meats will go up as well, because there will be more demand for those meats from the people that cannot afford to eat the beef. And to finish it off, corn prices are going up, which means that the price of everything as well is going up. Just like when the price of sugar goes up, almost everything goes up. When the price of wheat goes up, almost everything goes up. Because almost all things that are consumed, all of the things that are ultra processed by these food companies out there, take corn, take wheat, etc., sugar. So tight corn stock prices, or tight corn stocks, support prices. And what they're showing here is that these are the ending stocks for corn, right? These little bars right here. And you can see that these ending stocks right here is very, very low, comparatively speaking, to the past. So you can see that it's lower than the last 3 years, but pretty close. But then it goes all the way back to here. It's the lowest that it's been all the way since 2013. And this is the price that's expected for corn to be. It's expected to be at about twice or so of what it was. So right here in 2020, it was about $3.50. It's expected to be about $7. 100% increase in just the last 3 years, ladies and gentlemen. Do you think that that's going to affect the price of the foods that you buy at the store? Absolutely it will. Absolutely. Just take a look at ketchup, all right? Fructose corn syrup, all right? Corn flakes, right? It's going to affect almost everything. Chicken feed, right? Feed that they give to cow, even though cow really shouldn't be eating corn. But anyways, all right, feed that they give to cow that have corn in it. You know, just think about all of the things that you enjoy that have corn in them. Heck, even gasoline has corn in it. At least in the lower 48. In Alaska, they don't put ethanol in gasoline. But even gasoline has corn in it. All right, so I hope you got something out of this. And I hope, more importantly, that this motivates you to stock up on those things, ladies and gentlemen, that you need. Not only are we having problems with the monetary system, not only are we having problems with the supply system, not only are we having geopolitical problems with other countries around the world, but we are going to have a major problem when it comes to food production and distribution, not only in this country, but in many countries, if not all countries around the world. Other than that, have a great day. God bless every one of you. God bless America. I'm Alaska Prepper. I'm out. Ladies and gentlemen, you've seen all the pictures of all of the smoke and stuff that's coming into the east coast of the United States of America because of the wildfires that are occurring in Canada. And it has nothing to do with Canada. They're not at fault. Wildfires happen, right? So you have absolutely no control over whether your air quality is going to be affected or not at any time. Well, I've always championed SimPure. Why? Because they make a really good water filtration system. And I also like to champion SimPure because they are very generous with us, the AP community. They've done several giveaways, and that tells a lot to me about the people that are behind the product. Well, SimPure reached out to me with a very generous offer of a 20% off code that you can use on their site. Not only for water purification things, but also for air purification things. And let me show you a couple of the ones that they have to offer, and at what I think are very reasonable and competitive prices. So in addition to their under the cabinet reverse osmosis systems, whether it be one that has a reserve tank or one that is a direct line to your sink, or the ones that I talked about that I reviewed that is a countertop one, they also have these air filtration systems that go all the way from being able to filter out just a room, if you want to get one that's the size that will filter out just a room, or an entire home. Let me show you what they look like. Here you can see that they have 4 different kinds. The MSA3 Quiet HEPA air purification for larger rooms that range between 600, 800, and 1500 square feet at a very reasonable price of $109.99, ladies and gentlemen. And that's not even counting the 20% off that you get if you use my coupon. The other one here is the MS18 Smoke Eater HEPA air purifier for smokers. I'm guessing that if it's good enough for smokers, that it will probably be good enough to get smoke out of your home's air. And the one that I'm interested in mainly is the MS600, and the reason being is because it covers such a wide range. The MS600 Smart Air Purifier for extra large room that are up to 2,647 square feet. And you can go to the link that I've left below. You can look at each of these individually if you're in the market for this. I use one in my house. I actually use a medical grade air filtration system in my house because I don't really have ventilation in my house, so it keeps my air in my house clean. But we're talking about a $1,000 air filtration system, compared to a $100-$200 air filtration system that SimPure has to offer. So again, if you're interested in taking a look at these, go ahead and click on the link below. You can take a look at their water purification solutions as well. I've been working with SimPure now for I think about a year or so, and they've always been very good to the Alaska Prepper community. So whenever they have an offer to make to us, especially when it's going to save you all money, then I always accept it. Why? Because I've learned that they make a very good product at a very reasonable price.